not been to Kitchen Collage, we have all the best things you will ever need. And
It's our sale.
there is a dollar, there is some dollar racks going on. I just gotta say, I don't know if these are still gonna be here by the end of the night, but anybody needs some nice little glasses. There's all kinds of stuff in here on our dollar store, but obviously some great quality cookware. So if you need to up anything or get some gifts coming up, good place to shop. I also want to introduce Lori Graff. She's on your computer screen. Lori's an amazing registered dietitian. She's going to be talking to us tonight about how this soup helps boost our immunity. We talk a lot about immunity, of course, of late, such an important part of our body as it works and related to food. So without further ado, I'm going to let Teresa take this over and we're going to get cooking and have a great meal when we're done.
Okay, so Mary and Lori do a great job of getting recipes for me, and they're always delightful. This, I think, just is my opinion, there are a lot of ingredients going on here. So if your kitchen is not set up for, are you here Saturday? Yeah. Okay, see you Saturday. You know, we have a lot of spices here and a lot of things going on, but I just thought there were a great deal of spices, and wondering why a recipe has an onion and a shallot. Not so sure. I was thinking maybe the shallot was a very finish, pretty color, but it's supposed to go in with a chopped onion. So we're kind of going to put this together a little differently than the recipe states, and the finish is to put the squash in and let it cook for 20 minutes. I've thrown the squash in the oven to roast, so when we get it here, we'll have roasted squash. So
Teresa, a clarifying question. If someone's going to make this recipe again, it wouldn't be necessary for them to find an onion and a shallot. They could do just an onion if they wanted to, and it wouldn't change the flavor so much of the dish.
No, I really don't believe that. And in the world of recipe development, I think somebody needed to add something so they could call it their recipe. So
so we're taking the shallot out and calling it our recipe.
Well, we've got an opinion on everything here, if you haven't noticed.
I've already cut the shallot, so it's got to go in.
Yeah, I got the
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Should we be roasting our butternut squash?
That's a good question.
Your squash is going to go in at the end, and then you're going to steam it for 20 minutes in your.
But would I like it better roasted?
Well, you do get a better depth of flavor if you want to roast yours. So
we could put it in now. Should we just do that?
So I put it on a roasting pan in the oven at 450, and it should be done in like 20 minutes. I cubed it. You got to cube it before you do that. So I'm not. Everybody's doing so. Just shout out if you need some help.
Hey, Teresa.
Yeah.
I was going to use some frozen squash I had in the freezer. So I would not want to roast that, right? It's too wet. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. That'll be a perfect finish. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful color. And, you know, Lori can address all our wonderful colors here that we're using. I mean, we're using the colors of the rainbow, right? So I love that one. Okay, so
Teresa, you're giving two options. You're saying right now, if you want to put your chopped squash in and roast it on a pan, you can do that.
Right.
Or you can chop it, have it set to the side, and add it at the end, and it's just going to cook a little bit longer at the end.
It's going to cook 20 minutes. If I roast mine now, when I'm done with the soup, Jill and Mary can have soup.
So should we drizzle it with a little olive oil before we put it in the oven?
Great idea, Maria. Be a great idea.
Thank you.
If you want to salt it, you can salt it too.
Okay.
gonna heat my wok up here. And we've measured, I think, 2 tablespoons of canola oil. So my wok is good and hot. And we're gonna throw some onions in and that cute little shallot. Right? Probably gonna burn. I think salt does a great job of enhancing flavor and drying out moisture. So I have a little kosher salt that I'm adding to the onions and the shallot. So give that a good stir, and in about 5 minutes, that'll be translucent. Just depends on how high your heat is. Can you hear me now?
How's the volume, friends? Teresa wants to know if she's yelling, and then I say that in a loud voice.
It's perfect. Perfect.
Vicki bought in the house all the way from Salt Lake City, Utah. Yay!
Wow.
And I'm watching because I kept meaning to run out and buy the stuff and I couldn't get out today. So it looks delicious. So I'll watch to make later.
We'll have you take some virtual bites.
Yeah.
I just got a text from my daughter Val. She said she's almost home, so.
Okay.
Oh, that was your daughter, Maria. I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Super
yep.
cool.
She had the red curry paste. I did not.
Birthday, huh?
There's Val right there.
I know. That was so fun.
Oh, happy birthday to your granddaughter. Val's in the house now. I love
Is she
it.
in the house?
Yeah,
Okay.
she is.
Yes, I've made it home.
Hey, Val.
Hey.
Now we've thrown our onions and shallots and canola in our wok. And now we're gonna do some aromatics. So let's get that garlic minced or plopped in there with the onions. I love mincing fresh garlic.
And Teresa has an amazing garlic press here at her store. I gave it away as a gift, and they said it's the best thing ever.
It is. It is the most expensive garlic press, I think, on the market. But mine, I think, is 20 years old. So, all right. The smell-o-vision is working. Our garlic smells great. I don't know about yours, but now we're going to add our spices. 2 teaspoons cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of coriander. I'm throwing garam masala or my cardamom, baseball pods. Okay, whip it around fast, folks. It's gonna smell really great, but I don't want to burn it, because then everything is bitter. Your garlic, and then we've got ginger, okay? And remember, just with a spoon, you can peel your ginger, right?
How do you peel ginger? You just take a knife like that? Okay.
Well, that's a spoon, but yes,
Done.
whatever you
I
got.
do.
It is so easy to do. It's like the hack, right? You don't have to get a special tool.
That is one hack I've learned from Teresa over the years with cooking is how to peel the ginger with a spoon. Works every time.
And for those of you who have taken knife skills, you already know this. For those of you that haven't, this is the sharpest part of your knife, called the sweet spot. This is what you want to use for your ginger and your herbs.
Oh,
For
Teresa, I noticed you're cooking here from a wok. What's the advantage of using a wok over like someone using their cast iron skillet or another pot?
You know, you can use anything you'd like. I just like a carbon steel wok is, it responds to temperature really easy because it's thin. It's always gonna respond. It's hot, very easy to move, and it has very little surface area here, so you can move your vegetables if they're getting a little hot up on the side, right? Where another pan you might not be able to do that. So you have this surface area, but you can always push your product up on the side so you can use the bottom of your pan to saute, because if you're using a wok in a restaurant, you're not taking things out, putting them in a bowl, putting them back in. You're using the sides of your wok to keep your vegetables up and moving. Okay, so we got our aromatic with our onions, our garlic, our ginger, and then our spices, right? So we're layering. All right, that's what we do. We layer. And now, I'm gonna put in your chili paste. Curry paste, not chili paste. All right, and we're gonna do one, I think it's 3 teaspoons.
I believe so.
2, 3 with a teaspoon. You do it however you'd like. You want to use a measuring spoon, go right ahead. But a teaspoon, pretty doggone easy. And if you have green curry paste, use green curry paste. That smells awesome. So now, I'm gonna move this around. Look at that color. Here we are, Lauren. We're getting the rainbow again. Look at that color. All right. Turn my heat up a little bit. And I'm gonna throw some tomatoes in because now I've seeded them, and I'm gonna show you how to seed the tomato and chop them up. You know, this had me pining for the summer and fresh tomatoes because you know as well as I do, unless you have canned tomatoes, your tomatoes are really hard this time of year. So, Roma tomato, if you haven't chopped yours yet. So, we've got this seed action going, right? So, you can either take your fingers 2 ways and just core it out. But there's very little juice. What you're trying to do is get all those seeds out. And you just want the meat of the tomato. Or, if you prefer, take a spoon and core it. All right. And now, again, we've got a sharp knife, right? Y'all chopping along with me? But it's like, what is going on? Okay, I'm gonna throw these ingredients in, and then Lori can talk about drink. I think, Mary.
About what? About the ingredients or the drink?
Yeah, the drink.
It's not the stew.
Well,
Okay.
she can talk about whatever she wants.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get it in here.
Okay, friends, keep chopping up your tomatoes. Make sure you get that added to your seasoning, your aromatics. And then when you're done chopping those, you can work on chopping up your cauliflower, your potato, any other of the vegetables that you need chopped. And as you continue to chop, Lori Graff is going to talk to us about the nutrients of this meal and why the ingredients in our stew, why they're good for our body. So Lori, take it from here as people chop and
all right.
Nice skills.
Well, this one has several huge benefits. One of them is what we talked about right away with all the different spices, different ingredients. Just there is a lot of ingredients in this dish. And the more ingredients, the closer it is to getting that 25 different foods that you're eating every day. every week. And the more variety, the better your microbiome or the bacteria in your GI tract. So, and that's all linked to immunity. And the other really big one is when we think of immunity, we typically think of vitamin C, which we did add some with the tomatoes, but the unspoken hero is really vitamin A. 50% of Americans are deficient in vitamin A or have some amount of deficiency. And it's what helps keep the lining of all of our epithelial skin cells healthy. So that's the lining of our all of our mucus, our lungs, our GI tract. And so without vitamin A, it's super, super easy for us to have a weaker immunity. And we're going to get beta carotene in the butternut squash. When we consume enough beta carotene, if we have healthy gut bacteria, it will turn it to vitamin A. So we're using all the benefits, the garlic, the onion, all the spices, everything in here to create healthy bacteria so that the butternut squash will become vitamin A.
That is great information, Lori. Here I am thinking, why do we have so many ingredients? That's great. That's great. I think it probably takes you longer to shop than it does to put it together, right? But
It does, but the great thing is, you know, if you make enough for leftovers, then you can have it several times a week and get that great variety. I find it makes a nice breakfast alternative this time of year when it's hot, when it's so cold outside. Something like this where it has the earthiness with the cardamom and the ginger, a little bit of spice with the curry is actually very soothing in the morning.
wow, for breakfast. Nice.
Breakfast.
Well, of course, the other nice thing is once you shop and get the spices, you have them there for the next time you want to make the recipe or explore with other recipes. So yes, that first time shopping for things might be a little bit more time consuming and getting more used to that. Teresa, did you want Lori to talk about the drink now? Okay.
Yeah.
So Lori, tell us, you selected this drink for us tonight. Tell us about why you selected this drink, and Teresa's gonna get us prepared on making our hot drink for immunity.
All right. Several reasons. We know that one way to boost our immunity is by eating less food. And this is one of those beverages that will actually slightly decrease our appetite. So that's a great benefit to it. It has a small amount of cranberry in it, which I believe when we can consume things on a regular basis, but in smaller amounts, we end up getting over the huge, you know, the longer length of time, the big picture, the health benefits. So vitamin C on an antioxidant level has more than double that of raspberries. So it's like cranberries and then we're to the berries. So huge benefits that way. It's going to contain a little bit of vitamin C as well. Again, it's it's a warm drink, so it's hot, soothing.
So
I don't have the
Lori, I
recipe
a
in front of
question
me. I think I remember everything, but are we squeezing
Well, there was-
fresh
there was
lemon into
lemon-
this one?
Yeah, lemon and the cranberry, and you recommended definitely getting 100% cranberry, not a cocktail mix or anything with the added sugar.
Correct. A lot of the cranberry juices are cocktails, so you want to get 100% cranberry juice. So you have to. Oh, did you get pomegranate instead?
I have elderberry. And I
Oh,
thought-
elderberry.
So
Yep.
I'm wondering in the scale here and here, kind of where the raspberries and the cranberries are, where's elderberry?
Elderberry is quite high as well. Pomegranate is quite high. And the reason for that is because they're all tart berries. Very tart. Mm-hmm.
So any of those would be good if
They
someone
would.
they could mix match with any of those tartar berries and know that they're getting a good, really immune boosting, healthier, warm drink.
Correct.
So we have our dandelion tea.
Yeah, and talk about the dandelion root tea, Lori.
Yeah, the dandelion root tea is a very detoxifying tea. Dandelions are. So again, our liver, we want it to be detoxifying, keeping everything healthy. And this is a natural way to do it, easier way to do it, other than eating dandelion greens, which are not as available to us all year round.
Get dandelions in the spring if they're not sprayed. Is that a dandelion green?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
If they're not sprayed.
If they're not sprayed, yeah. Yep. So yeah, so the dandelion tea is for the liver detoxification, which I know this is about immunity, but keeping all of our systems healthy and decreasing inflammation is one of the key aspects of immunity. So that's, I forgot to mention the ginger in the Indian dish is great for that. We're adding the lemon with the vitamin C, and then your really, really super tart berry will be actually hydrating, very, very high in antioxidants, and will, with the dandelion tea, help you eat less food or decrease your cravings in a natural aspect.
So Lori, as far as like, you know, when you're, as a registered dietitian, you probably obviously worked with a lot of people who are interested in losing weight. And, you know, we're talking about healthy foods all the time and healthy lifestyle eating. In conjunction with weight loss, is there any particular magic to, if someone was to use this drink, because you talked about it could temper your appetite, of when a good time of the day to have a drink like this? Does it matter?
The best time is before the time that you find that you want to, usually earlier in the day, because if it tempers your appetite earlier in the day, then you're setting yourself up for more success. Something like this tea, or you can make the tea, which is a little bit more elaborate steps, a little bit more health benefits. And then after the cup of tea, you can just make cranberry water or pomegranate water or elderberry water, then to drink during the rest of the day if you desire as well.
So kind of meditate with your tea for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So what you're doing basically is you're just getting one serving of fruit, but you're getting it across the course of your day in your water. And so it serves kind of as two purposes. Maybe it might make drinking the water a little bit more appetizing for you. It's boosting your vitamin C content and decreasing your appetite.
Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Lori about anything regarded to our recipes or any nutrition questions in general? Maria, and you want to take yourself off mute there, girl.
And you're still on mute.
She's trying. She said, just a minute.
That's my mom. So while she's figuring it out, I was wondering, I saw the recipe called for potatoes. Is it okay to use sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes, and like nutritional benefits of either or?
Well, I think Lori could probably address that sweet potatoes are better for us.
In this case, you know, sweet potatoes have a little bit, I'm going to have a benefit in being a little bit lower glycemic index.
Okay.
Meaning a higher glycemic index food can turn to sugar faster.
Okay.
In this case, because you're not just consuming a whole plate full of potatoes, you're not putting any butter on it, you're not putting any sour cream on it in this case. From a nutritional standpoint, my first recommendation would be for you to use potatoes and then to use the butternut squash if you have the potatoes, because then you are going to get The potatoes itself have more vitamin C and more potassium than a sweet potato. And we're using butternut squash, so we're going to get the vitamin A and all the benefits of the orange vegetable that way. So if we're really looking to get the most nutrition possible, you'd use the potato.
Well, thank you. I never thought about how the foods like combine together, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good question, Valerie. I think a lot of people get hung up on the whole sweet potato versus potato nutrient value. Maria
Yes.
Maria's ready.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so someone tried to call me, so everything kind of went away and all I'm seeing now is myself. But anyway, so that's not so great. But anyway, my question is, why do you seed the tomato? Why don't you just put it all in there?
It's a texture.
Here,
Oh.
yeah, I think when you consider like this time of year, yeah, throw the whole thing in because there's hardly anything to it. But
Okay.
sometimes during the summer when you get a lot of seeds in something, they get stuck and
Yep, that makes sense.
this goes back to
Okay, thank you.
just comfort. Yeah.
And another very quick question I have is, once you cut into ginger, how do you store it? Do you wrap it in saran wrap, or how do you, in the refrigerator?
So, I put it in a bag and I put it in the freezer. And you can put it in your refrigerator in some sherry too. That'll keep it fresh. But
Okay.
when you keep it in the freezer, yes, it's going to come out a little soggy, but you've maintained its integrity with its kind of flavor qualities.
Okay.
And
Okay.
otherwise, I think you throw away more if you don't do that, either in the sherry or in the freezer. You're going to end up throwing away more. So I think it's just a way to always have ginger on hand, is just to have a knob or two in the freezer. And you don't have to peel it in order to keep it
Okay.
fresh. So you can peel it as you need to use it.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
That is an awesome question, Maria. I have found that since I learned the hacking of freezing ginger, I tend to use it more, and I'll add it to recipes that may not even call for it, because I love ginger, and learning from Lori, it's been so healthy, and learning from Teresa how to easily add it. So again, it's one of those things that's great to invest in, and it has a long freezer shelf life, so to speak.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions for Lori? Oh, Val, you're on mute, Val Armstrong. I know there are two Val, so not to confuse other Val.
I was just gonna say, I'm feeling sort of stupid because I did not know once you break off a knob, that it loses its gingerness. So I've just been breaking off a knob and then putting it back in its little bag in the refrigerator.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Val. I mean, it's, if you don't peel the whole thing, you're gonna save more of the flavor.
Okay.
Because that's the skin protects the ginger. So no, by all means,
gingerness.
don't worry too much about that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I'm kind of circling back around to see where everybody is on their curry. I have in my pot all ingredients except for the coconut milk and the squash that I put in the oven to roast. So I'd like everybody to kind of catch up, or just kind of let me know where you're at in doing this. Or
now, how come you saved out your coconut milk? I thought we were supposed to add that with the broth.
well, it's okay, because I was just wanting to chat, and so I wasn't throwing everything in, but that's what I'm going to do now. So if everybody's kind of got their onions and their potatoes and their chickpeas and their tomatoes, spices, sauce, curry paste, like my favorite thing is coconut milk, right? And I'm going to put the whole can in, because I don't know what to do with can if you only use part of it.
That's what I did too.
Yes, it's like yumminess. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is so good.
From an immunity standpoint, it's good because when we were talking about vitamin A, we have to have some fat with it to absorb it and use it.
Okay.
All right.
So Teresa, if we put our squash and our cauliflower in the oven, should we take it out now and add it to the pan?
If you think you've got it, I'd say 3/4 roasted. I wouldn't take it out till you feel like it's been well
Okay.
roasted.
Okay.
And I think this recipe must make enough for 6 or 8 people. It's impressive how much. So I am going to show you what my roasted squash looks like. And I think it's been in there for about 20 minutes. So, figure that out later. So now we have our butternut squash. I'm sure you could use a different squash if that's what you had. I don't know, Lori, does it make a difference in squash?
For this recipe, as long as it was a hard winter squash, it would not. We wouldn't put in a zucchini because the flavors are just too bold and powerful that we wouldn't get a nice balance, and then we wouldn't get all of the beta carotene for nutrition.
I like roasting the vegetables. I think they smell so good.
Mm-hmm.
Plus it breaks down the sugars if you roast it, so you get a different flavor maybe, but certainly you still get all the great qualities.
So Teresa, if someone hadn't roasted their squash in advance, would they be throwing in their fresh squash right now?
Right.
Okay.
So it'll end up steaming in your curry.
Do you ever roast your cauliflower before putting it in?
What's that?
Roast your cauliflower.
What about
Oh, yeah.
roasting it?
Oh, I just did,
Love roasted cauliflower.
along with the squash.
You did?
So
I did, yeah.
instead of white cauliflower, I had choices of white, orange, or purple.
Wow.
Right? So I chose orange because oftentimes when you steam or cook a purple vegetable, it doesn't, if you roast it, it'll stay purple, but it just changes a different color. So I cut up my cauliflower, but I did not roast my cauliflower. So I'm just making it in smaller pieces so it won't take much more than, I don't know, less than 10 minutes to steam right in here.
So to clarify, Teresa, you said an option could be if someone wants to do this recipe again, they could roast the cauliflower and the squash together and throw that in at the end. Or we could do as you're doing now. Now, I've not seen anyone shuck a cauliflower like that before. So I've always chopped it. Tell me about this. Is this another hack that I didn't know about?
Well, I think certainly you can get smaller pieces. You can almost rice it, right? But I think it's, it's just a way to, if you're not in a hurry, to get it done. I want to go back to this roasted vegetable and kind of prepping for meal time. So this is one recipe, but if you are meal prepping or planning on a given day of the week, why not roast all your vegetables that you've purchased?
Yes.
Your cauliflower, your broccoli, your carrots, whatever it is, because you're going to turn the oven on once and you might as well just get it all done, because roasted vegetables are so yummy and good for us. And there's no reason you couldn't throw, I suppose, some broccoli in here or whatever you have.
Are you saying kind of roast them after you buy them and
Yeah,
store them until you're
right.
going to throw it in a recipe?
Right.
Well, how long would that roasted vegetable last in your fridge?
Week. So every week, much like you would wash your greens. Wash your greens when you get them home and they're ready to go. Yeah, and then as kind of Lori says, then you kind of get everything done before you really are like hangry, right? So this is enough for 12 people. This is awesome. This is just.
So this should this freeze pretty well?
Oops, excuse me. I don't know that I'd freeze it. I mean, you could,
Oop.
but why? I mean, it's just.
Well, if
why
you
not
make
put
enough,
that in
if you
5
make enough,
different containers?
but if you make it for 12 and you only have 2 people, you know.
This recipe would freeze quite well. Most curries do because it with a fat base and there's very little tomato in it.
Okay.
If you do want to do that, just keep in mind when you heat it not to overcook it the first time.
Okay.
Because your squash and your cauliflower will cook a little bit more when you reheat it.
That makes sense.
And degrade a little bit.
Lori, do you lose some of the nutritional qualities if it's not as fresh? Some?
The only time you would is if like you put it in the freezer and it was super, super old and got freezer burnt. But just the fact of freezing it and then reheating it later, you won't.
Right. Or freezing it and forgetting to label it. And then it's like.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We're having
But
this
this,
tonight.
yeah, with the garlic, the cauliflower, the onions, this recipe is just very, very high in cruciferous vegetables, which is very healthy for your liver, very cancer preventative. So this recipe is just a win-win. You could say it was good for your immunity. It's anti-cancer, anti-inflammation. It really falls into every category.
So other cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower, broccoli. What else would we?
Brussels sprouts.
There we go.
Mhm.
They're just coming into the store now, probably from Mexico.
Cabbage.
Cabbage.
Mhm.
Right on. Right. I like cabbage. Cabbage.
How's everyone doing with their cooking process? Do you have all of your goodies in your bowl and cooking away?
Yes.
Maria's got a thumbs up. Lynn's nodded yes. 2 thumbs up from Val. Another thumbs up from Val.
Well, I haven't put in the lime or the squash yet. Maybe I should go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
So-
put the squash in.
Don't put your lime quite in. The lime's the finish with the cilantro.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Morgan, how are things going for you? Thumbs up there. And Louise, how about in your kitchen? Thumbs up. Nice. So I tasted the hot drink that Teresa made. I will say I really enjoy this. We do have the elderberry, but I feel like it's the perfect amount of just a tinge of getting that fruit flavor and not being too sweet. Definitely very warming. I'm going to be making this for sure because I always like to try to find different warm drinks to make.
And just a shout out to where I got the elderberry syrup from Dog Patch Gardens. And she has an online shop, but she also has an in-person shop on Meredith Drive between Merle Hay Road and Beaver Avenue. So she's got some great things. She has a hoop house, so oftentimes you can get some fresh things later in the year here or later in the spring from her, but she also does business with local farmers. So she has kind of a little market in her garage. So it's a great place to get organic or freshly sourced ingredients. So she's a great gal.
What's the name of that again, Teresa?
Dog Patch.
Okay.
Dog Pet Gardens, yeah.
Well, now
Nice salad recipes too.
I have this much cranberry juice, so I have to use this first.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
because it calls for a little bit in each little cup. So you'll be nice and
Exactly.
warm for the next month or so.
Yeah, what you can do is just, if you take a cup of it into then a pitcher of your water
Oh,
and then drink it every day. So then you're constantly getting that vitamin C, the polyphenols, all the benefits.
would that take the place of my morning lemon water? Or
It would, yes.
okay.
Mhm.
Thanks, Lori. I like that idea. And you could still even warm up the cocktail water or
Yeah.
the cranberry and water blend.
Right.
And yeah, I think we get so hung up on it's got to be water or it's got to be a latte. And there's definitely a healthier middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, there's the cranberry juice, pomegranate juice, all these juices are so healthy, but we don't consume them on a regular basis because usually they are so very tart. So this is just a great way to get like a cup in every single day if we just put it into our quart of water, 64 ounces of water.
Okay, thank you.
Or I did have a little leftover white wine this evening, so I just added it to a little bit of white wine.
Way to go.
I mean,
Cranberry
I'm
juice.
sorry. I had to finish. I just had a little. So,
Sparkle.
Oh,
I want to
I
come to
love
that
it.
class.
so there you go.
they can cancel each other out or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to, wine's good for you. I think red wine is probably better, but But I do have a question about cilantro. Should you avoid chopping the stems, or are those kind of, do you use the stems, or
No,
how does that?
No, there's no reason you can't use the stems. I just think you'll notice at some point it's a little woody, and
Okay.
of course you don't want to use that, but there's no reason you can't use the stems.
Okay, thank you. Let there be light. This is really good though, Teresa and Mary. I just tasted it. And I only used a teaspoon of the red curry paste because I was a little afraid of how spicy it was. But I've actually added in the full 3 teaspoons because it kind of needs that extra. But I was a little worried about it, but it's, yeah.
So I'm gonna plate it.
I found an apron for Penelope.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. Oh,
It has pockets.
oh, that's so cute, Mary. Oh, well, Teresa, the last time I was down there was when it was snowing, and I returned. Well, I'll say it this way. I got those 2 cookie sheets. Do you remember that? I love them. Those cookie sheets are the best. I save them only for the rare times I make cookies.
Okay.
So if you need a cookie sheet, go see Teresa.
And just to address that, Valerie, or not Valerie, Maria, their whole store is 15% off. So if you want to get something else, you can get 15% off.
Did you just show me that apron for Penelope, Mary?
Yeah, I think it's on a
That's
sale
half
rack,
price.
so I don't know how much it is, but
That's
it's
half
so.
price.
Oh, this is half price. Isn't that so
Oh,
So it's
I might have to be down there.
stinky?
You might
Okay,
see me. Okay.
we have beautiful color, right? We have beautiful color.
Oh, very
So
nice.
excited. And then we've got our lime, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna do a little squeeze of lime, or we could, and then a little bit of cilantro that I've just torn off the bunch. Or if you wanted to, you can do your little bit of lime, and then voila, voila.
Mm.
Here, Mary, here's this one.
I'm a hand model now.
Ooh,
Has everyone tasted theirs yet?
yeah, very good.
There you go.
I think I should have put the potatoes on the roasting pan though. They're a little, I need to cook it a little longer, I think.
Just zap it. If you get it.
Wow. Very yummy.
Mm.
So,
Lori, did you try this recipe yet?
This one I have not tried. I tried one very, very similar to it. It was like this, but it was North African instead.
oh, yeah. So really, Lori, the difference between this and maybe some North African would be the spices. You're using za'atar or something?
It used cinnamon,
That is fabulous.
but it was almost identical, just with the cinnamon and without the curry.
This is really good.
Yeah.
Definitely warming on a cold day. I love it. I like the heat. I like the spice. Any
Very good.
comments on other people have tasted the soup yet?
But
That's good.
it's what makes it Indian versus Thai is when they add the cumin and the cardamom in there. So it's
Oh,
the earthiness with the spiciness. That's Indian cooking.
okay. That's good.
So very fragrant.
Mm-hmm.
Val
That's what-
Armstrong, what do you think?
That's very good. I think I got a little worried it was too thick and I added some more broth, and now I wish I wouldn't have because I don't think it needed it, but it's really good.
And you can add some finishing salt if you think, but otherwise.
Sam, how are things going in your kitchen?
I love the lime at the end. I tried it from the pan, and then after I plated it, added some lime, and it really does. I don't know, it's very nice.
It helps, you know, you've got a lot of starch going on, Val, so that little bit of citrus just kind of adds another layer again. You know, you talk about layering flavor. So that is a fabulous finish. Lori, I have a question going back to the drink. So do you want to talk about raw honey versus maybe just some regular honey that you would get in the store?
Yes, a raw honey will be much more antibacterial for you as far as an immunity boosting food. So I would recommend it whenever possible.
Even if you get like a local honey, it's still not going to be as good as raw.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, raw is local's the next best thing. Mm-hmm.
So this was a Christmas gift, my raw honey, and from my daughter in Oregon. So it's unpasteurized as well, but they make a note of making sure you understand there's no corn syrup in their honey. Because I think that's another filler that happens in honey that you buy in the grocery store.
Gross.
And it says live enzymes and suspended pollen. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
It's a good thing. Bacteria is super, super antiviral, antibacterial. It will, that's why they recommend that you never give it to a baby. But you can leave honey, even though it's a sugar source, out in 100-degree weather, and it will not mold. It will not create any bacteria. It's very antibacterial.
So Lori, I know that, you know, Above and Beyond Cancer definitely supports, you know, having a plant-based, not necessarily being a vegetarian, but eating a lot of vegetables. Any concern, like with a soup like this, that you're not going to get enough protein?
The beans.
If it's your, there would be concern if this is all you're eating on a very regular basis, because there's only the chickpeas in there, so it's not going to give you a lot of even plant protein. If you're having it on occasion, then I certainly wouldn't worry about it, because the amount of variety that you're getting from your diet or into the diet and the amount of nutrients are going to outweigh getting a little less protein. You know, you're going to get a little bit more balance.
All right. Any other thoughts? Sam, Lynn, have you been able to try, and Morgan, your stew yet?
Well, I haven't messed with the stew. I did finally get the drink concoction put together. It took me a while because I couldn't find the bourbon. You know, it must have dropped off my page or something. It didn't seem to be included in the recipe. So
It was a two-sided recipe.
but I'm doing some above and beyond branding here for you, Mary. So
I see that. I'm impressed. So what do you think of that hot drink?
it's good. It's
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of a glue vine, but you know, good for me, I think, if that's what Lori's telling me.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
I don't know why you're turning me into a hippie buying Dandelion Tea, though. I was a little concerned when I went in the aisle to find that.
Where did you find that?
Yeah, where is that?
Find it
I
at
got
Price
it at
Gateway has it.
I got mine at Gateway.
Yeah, everyone should have dandelion tea. Very, very popular because it is known as the best tea for detoxing your liver.
Campbell's has it too. I bought it at Campbell's before.
Yeah.
I have found it at Price Chopper. It is pretty common because Lori told me about it years ago when she told me my liver wasn't happy.
yeah, I either go to the Price Chopper or in Drugtown.
Yeah, I couldn't find it at Price Chopper.
Ah, boo. Maybe I bought them all. So Morgan, I got a thumbs up from you. You've tasted it. Nice. Louise, what'd you think? Good. Lynn, are you still cooking?
I'll try.
The other thing is, if you were concerned about protein, you can always have some protein on the side, or you could always add a little extra chicken or beef. Or when I made mine this week, I just made I roasted some chicken at the same time, and then people could have a little roasted chicken if they didn't think the soup was enough.
Jill just mentioned this would be delicious over baked cod.
Oh,
So you had
yeah.
a great fish fillet, a cod fillet, and you baked that off and then just pour this over the top of the fish. It would be dynamite too.
Mhm.
Very good.
Mm. This is excellent.
Hey, Lori, I
If
do
you
want
would
to
want to add fish too, when would you put that in at the end?
Yeah. You'd have to have fish that's not gonna break apart. It could be like a dry fly.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Mary asked if we could throw the fish in at the end, and I don't know that I would do that unless I had like a dry flob or something that's not going to break apart. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you have to have a fish that's pretty solid if you're going to throw it in here. And dry flob is poor man's lobster, and that tastes great with curry. But yeah, pay attention to how you're cooking that.
Well, we are going to, any other last minute or other, I should say last minute, any other closing comments, questions?
I did want to ask Lori, I think I've asked this before, when we were talking about the frozen stuff, like I've been eating a lot of berries. I keep a big frozen bag of berries. How much nutrition do I lose between fresh and frozen? Kind of just not just berries, but fish.
For all practical purposes, none.
Okay.
And I would actually say, all the frozen fruits and vegetables probably have more nutrition because they've gone from the field to the freezer much, much faster than being picked, harvested, travel from across the country, held in the grocery store. Then you take it home and you hold it, and then you finally eat it.
Good question, Sam. Really good question. Well, thank you again, Lori Graff. You're such a wealth of knowledge. We've learned so much from you consistently every cooking class. If any of you ever desire to have more one-on-one attention with nutrients in your body, of course, I can set you up with Lori's contact. Again, thank you to Teresa, the master chef here and an entrepreneur of Kitchen Collage, and Jill being our tech support, another amazing chef. Again, everything 15% off down here at Kitchen Collage, and she does have a little dollar rack of goodies. There might not be anything left by the end of tonight, though. I might be filling up my car. Thank you again for supporting Above and Beyond Cancer and your own health by being part of this cooking class. Heads up, in March, we're doing a beet hash with poached eggs. I'm excited to learn the art of poaching eggs because I haven't quite figured that out, and Teresa will teach us that.
Gonna
I think
practice.
poached eggs are the hot thing. I feel like every time you go to a restaurant now, and they're so yummy. And if you don't think you like beets, well, we'll turn you into a beet lover. And what I've learned from Lori, they are definitely a power food. And then in April, we're doing a pan-seared salmon. Selfishly, I want to know how to perfect pan-searing some fish. So again, we're going to learn that important art of how to pan-sear some good salmon and have some great vegetables on the side. So that's what's up for the next cooking classes. Be sure to get your spot for those, and hope to see you at anything we got going on. Outdoor hiking, maybe.
Yep.
See ya there
out.
as well.
Get out and play. It's warming up.
Heat wave.
And enjoy your meal.
Thanks, guys.
So good. Thank you.
You.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
Teresa, I'm
Vicky.
using my Emil Henry.
Bye, Vals.
Bye,
Both
Chris.
Vals and Morgan, Lynn, Sam, Lori, Louise,
Thank you.
Maria. Bye.
Cheers. Pomegranate, mostly pomegranate.
There you go.
Seriously.